Namaste. Welcome to the beginning of another live Sangha. Let me begin with the Gayatri mantra. Om Bhur Bhuvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. So welcome to another Sangha today. I hope that those who are joining now are feeling validated in whatever they're feeling, regardless of the experiences of life. Though I do not wish misfortune on anyone, if you are experiencing some challenges in life right now, you're allowed to feel your way. How you are feeling in this moment, that's allowed. Blah, 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 blah. Hello, Kolli. I am doing well. I'm feeling a bit gloopy today. My words are funny. I feel like I'm choosing funny words today. Now, thank you for coming here, everyone, and allow me to set the intention for this space as being one in which we all can get along and see past our boundaries and borders and find the heart that we all share. A tender heart of compassion that I know is possible within every human being. Hello, Daddy. Hello, Davy. Welcome. And thank you, dear Hersi, for the heart me and team bracelet, best team, and a cheer you up, a finger heart, a team bracelet. Thank you for that. Ariom Tat Sat, and of course, a tiny yippee! And welcome, dear Usha Bai. Thank you for your lovely rose that you've sent, blessing our Sangha with your presence. Radhe Radhe. And dear Babble Fishy, thank you for your trio of roses. You are too generous. Om Namah Shivaya. Hello, Hari. Radhe Radhe. Davey, you're wondering where I'm from? I'm from Canada. Where are you from? Star 67, you're wondering how I get my hair to look so good. Well, you're too kind. It looks better than it probably is. I could spend probably more time taking care of my hair health, but I just use shampoo and conditioner, and don't ask me what kind, I don't know. Davey, you're also from Canada. That's awesome. I am not in Ontario, but I am in British Columbia. Petra, you are wondering what country I'd like to visit and why. It's a fun question. Oh, I don't know. I love all the countries of the world. I think they all have something to offer unique. If I was traveling, I'd hope to visit many, and it very much depends on my reason. If I wanted to go on a spiritual pilgrimage, it would definitely be any of the regions in Bharat, including India or Nepal, Tibet, maybe even Sri Lanka. I'd love to visit the land in which the Sanatana Dharma of the Rishis of the Himalayas have been preserved. But I'd also love to visit the ancestral land of Ireland, since that's where many of my grandparents, great-grandparents, etc. are from. But I'd love to know where you all would like to visit. Sometimes I feel like my heart already goes around the whole world, and my body just has yet to catch up. Thank you, dear Gina, for your heart me rose and cloud bread too. Om Namah Shakti Shavaya. And hello, Yune. Thank you, Badormal, for your heart me as well. Hare Krishna. Keith, you're in the Okanagan. That is very cool. And hello, Stephen. Hello, Dansuela. Welcome, dear Marcy. Oh, thank you, Laurie. Likewise. And hello, Dali. Thank you for your rose too, by the way, just now. Hare Krishna. Now, I have a question of the day for you all if you're interested in participating. But thank you, dear Gina, for your triple GGs and to give me the vote too. I still don't know what we're voting for, but I'm voting for you, Gina. Hari Om Tat Sat. My question of the day today is, in what ways are we always like a baby? You know? The consciousness which perceives ourselves as a baby, a youth, an adolescent, an adult, and as we get into our old age too. Each part of our stages of growth, we don't just grow out of them, you know, they're a part of us, but in what ways does the baby stage stay with us forever? In wanting our own way. That's funny, Sandy. I like that. Yes. And thank you for your ice cream cone too. Om Namah Shivaya. Rebecca, you'd say your tantrums is how you're like a baby. I can relate with that. Namaste. Bye-bye. Hello, Jacqueline. Kole, you were just enjoying some beautiful aurora borealis and meteor shower out in the garden. Oh, better there than your kitchen. And you're feeling good. I'm happy to hear that. Laura, you share needing to be safe and loved. Oh, I love that answer. Yeah, I agree with that completely. Pardon me. Thank you, Badrmal, for your half a dozen tiny tinies too. Yahoo! If you're crying, shares Gina. That's sweet. Yeah. Curiosity shares Pirdinde. I don't know if I've pronounced that right, but I love your answer. Curiosity indeed. I think the way we look at the world always has that touch of wonder. Dreamy, you share if you're begging your mom for food. Some things never change in that way. I didn't expect this question of the day to be so funny to me. Bye-bye, you share. Always wants love and innocence. I like that. HH, you share. Sometimes we cry easily. It is true. And welcome for love music. Happy to have you here, my friend. If you are excited with food, shares Ow. Oh, I like that answer. Howdy, you are with your dog, a real baby. Of course, that's why we call our pets baby. Anna, you share when we experience a feeling like it was for the first time. Yeah, you're so right with that. Don't worry about your name. All right. Well, if you wish to teach me, I'd be happy. I'm all ears. I'd be happy to learn. It's Bobby Joe. Thank you. I keep reading Bob, bye, as different words. Bobby Joe. That's easier. Alright, Bobby Joe. Could you share being innocent and pure on some level? Yes, I agree. I don't think one can truly ever fully lose their innocence or purity. But life does get in the way of that sometimes. Petra, you are wondering if I have any pets myself. I have two lovely little kittens named Sandy and Shadow. Tansuela, you share our frustrations and demands, especially when we're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. That's the HALT acronym, isn't it? HALT. Yeah. When you smile, shares Dreamy. Oh, you have the most wholesome answers tonight. Nice to see you, Pesto. I am well. Thank you for asking. How are you? Thank you for being here, Yune. You like today's question, Nume? Oh, I'm glad. Yes. It's a funny one, you know. I didn't realize how humorous I'd find your answers. All in good faith. Well, we're welcome to continue this conversation further. I am going to pause our question of the day there for now. I think we've locked in some great answers. So thank you. Thank you. We all are babies in many ways. And I think that's why many significant others call each other babies still. Because we still love to be coddled in many ways too. Kole, you're wondering how I come up with my questions of the day. Well, it's actually very simple. There are 7 days of the week, and I associate them with the 7 main chakras. Because today is the 2nd day of the week, counting Sunday as the 1st, then that corresponds to the Sacral Chakra. Sacral Chakra has a lot to do with our baby-making faculties. So I thought, what better question today than something concerning babies? So I make up the questions based on the chakra that I associate the weekday with. Hope that makes sense. Stephen, you share that you and Rebecca call me your adopted son. That's very sweet. Well, thank you for looking after me from afar with parental love. I do feel like a child of the universe. I'm so mischievous. I need as many parents as I can get to handle me. We're all a big bunch of babies for life. I couldn't agree more, Dan Suela. Speaking of the sacral chakra, let's dive deeper into aspects of that, since that's the chakra we're currently diving into in The Hidden Power in Humans, a book by Vishwar Guruji, Paramahansa Swami Maheshwarananda. A jolly old yogi. Alright, I'm going to put up the cover in case anyone joins and wonders what we're reading. But hello, dear Marlin. I am well, thank you. How are you? Okay. The sacral chakra is known as the Svadhisthana chakra in Sanskrit, and let's dive deeper into that. The divinities of the Svadhisthana chakra are Brahma and Saraswati. Brahma is the creator of the universe, and Saraswati personifies knowledge. In mythology, she is both the daughter and the wife of Brahma. Brahma is also described as the golden womb, or the cosmic egg, called Hiranyagarbha in Sanskrit, from which knowledge is born. Consciousness creates knowledge and is at the same time shaped by it. Therefore, as the creator, Brahma is the father of Saraswati, the father of knowledge. But when knowledge reacts upon creation and sets into motion its further development, Saraswati symbolizes Brahma's partner. Often we are unable to relate to or understand the emotions that arise from the subconscious into consciousness. Their turbulent power, together with our uncertainty about the reasons for or our own connection to these emotions, startles and confuses us. Nevertheless, these stirrings should not be shoved to one side. The constant suppression and rejection of emotions and feelings can result in neurosis and other psychic disturbances, as well as in diseases related to the lower abdominal region. But it is exactly those feelings that we carefully hide or deny that will re-emerge at the first opportunity. Many people advise giving our feelings and emotions free rein in order to gratify them and work them out so that they simply disappear. But this is not totally the right way either. When we give them room to move, we may strengthen them or give them power. The way to free ourselves from undesirable feelings and thoughts is neither to suppress them nor allow them to run freely, but rather to dissolve them with wisdom. Otherwise, we could possibly miss a very valuable opportunity if we simply throw away the rubbish bag of our dark side without looking inside. For there could have been a piece of gold hidden within. In Kundalini Yoga, feelings and thoughts are never judged initially as being undesirable, inferior, or bad. Rather, each feeling is closely observed and analyzed. In this way, we learn how to handle our emotions, process them, and finally transcend them. It is only in this way that the reciprocal process between Brahma and Saraswati, consciousness and knowledge, takes place. It is always important to remain aware that nothing negative as such exists. It is the qualities that we have adopted that are bad, not us. And it is these that we need to correct and change. The easiest and most successful way to do this, which can never be emphasized strongly enough, is through bhakti, through loving devotion, and repeating mantra. Bhakti, love and devotion for the divine, and the repetition of mantra are indispensable aids on our path of development. In a meditation, without bhakti, the ego can often gain the upper hand, and it could also happen that the subconscious will go beyond our control. For those who are practicing Kriya Yoga, bhakti, for the form of the divine worshipped by you, and mantra are of particular importance in supporting and protecting you during your practice. The Guru Mantra, the mantra given through initiation, is the light that illuminates the darkness of ignorance within us. These are two special quote-unquote jewels hidden in the Svadhisthana Chakra that we are able to put to good use. Icha Shakti, willpower, and Kriya Shakti, vigor or drive. Icha Shakti and Kriya Shakti can be awakened and strengthened by yoga practices. The following powerful energies help us to cultivate these: the Prana Shakti, the life force, the vital force; the Dharana Shakti, the power of concentration; and the Chetana Shakti, the power of consciousness. When these three Shaktis combine, we are able to turn all our ideas, intentions, and wishes into reality. Even though they are purely mental powers, they originate in the body. The free flowing of the nadis, the rivers, and the activation of the nerve centers, the chakras, play a big part in this. And pranayama, conduct of the breath and the vital energies, and concentration, also known as trataka. Trataka refers to the concentration exercise on a point or a candle flame, are also helpful. Concentration strengthens the mind, and pranayama strengthens and purifies the nervous system. Here, purification means to remove blockages and thus improve and ensure the flow of energy. Concentration acts like a magnet on our consciousness, pulling it in one direction only. Through this, it is possible to utilize and guide the prana shakti, the flow of the breath, or more generally, the spiritual breath, which flows throughout the whole body at will. With this, our physical and mental nourishment also become very important. Therefore, we should foster positive thoughts and eat only wholesome and pure food, no meat, fish, eggs, or alcohol, and naturally, no drugs. To control and consciously guide prana is a science, similar to higher mathematics. This energy is like an instrument with whose help we can attain our goal. When the nerve centers have been purified, the Chaitanya Shakti develops its full potential and enlightens our consciousness. Once we have awoken this power within us, we should also put it to good use, aligning it with our willpower and actions towards the goal of self-realization. Everybody will one day pass through the Muladhara and Svadhisthana chakras, the root and sacral chakra, whether they want to or not, whether they do yoga or not, whether they pray and meditate or whether they are not concerned with spirituality. But knowledge about this stage of development, strong Icha Shakti and Kriya Shakti and a well-developed Agya Chakra, the third eye, will help us with this. The Svadhisthana chakra is our daily training ground and a lifelong challenge. But with wisdom, God's help, and the guidance of the Master, we are able to overcome all the difficulties that this chakra has in store for us. I pray for your success, and may all your thoughts and feelings change for the better. So, I thank you, dear listeners, as we go through this book together, for listening. We'll pause our reading of The Hidden Power in Humans there for now. Until then, Namaste. Hello, dear Vanessa. Thank you for the heart me that you sent as you came in while we were reading. Radhe Radhe. And dear Peter Schaefer, thank you for your rose. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And hello, Ragnhildur. And Gina, thank you for another pair of roses from you. You're so kind. Om Dum Dargaye Namaha. Ronnie had wondered what religion was this, and I love the answer that Talon gave. None. We just talk about God. And I'm so happy that this is a space where we can feel comfortable talking about the divine from many different perspectives, non-denominationally. It's beautiful. But yeah, as the author of this book mentioned in the beginning, yoga is a practice that empowers the practitioner in whatever faith they are already involved in. In some sense, in very dramatic and perhaps provocative terminology, yoga is the source of all religion, not just one. But to really get to the essence of that probably would require a master class in history and spirituality. That's a great question, legendary how do I pronounce your name? Kwasik. Doesn't God imply religion? Great question. Simple answer, no. Religion is an organized structure surrounding devotional practices towards God. But you can be devoted to a God without being religious. Why? Because the source of all things is beyond even religion itself. No religion in the world holds claim to what the nature of the source is. Ultimately, we are all humans, and according to our limited understanding, we could never fully encapsulate that infinitude in any tradition. However, that doesn't mean any tradition by itself is not useful. That infinitude we call the source. Because it's infinite, it has so many different ways of approaching it, so many different forms of understanding. Just as many, if not infinitely more, than there are human beings and other life forms on this planet. So in some sense, we all have a personal relationship with that source. And we can bring together our personal relationships and form a community around it we call our religion. But it's not necessary. Many people thrive under the conditions of such a community, but other people feel like developing their own way of connecting to the source. And whatever takes you higher and higher, I believe that is the path meant for you. Thank you, dear Roxy, for the heart me that you sent a minute ago. Hari Om Tat Sat. And dear Shakira, thank you for your heart me too. Jai Sitaram. While you were reading Phir Dinte, you had asked, who taught me Hindi and is it hard to learn? Well, you are close. The words in the book that you are referring to are Indic in nature. They come from the Indian subcontinent, but they are Sanskrit, the ancient language. Hindi shares many of the same phonetics as the modern script used to render both Sanskrit and Hindi is the same. That's the Devanagari script. And Hindi gets its roots from Sanskrit and other Prakrit languages. So there is a big overlap between Hindi and Sanskrit. Sanskrit is like the Latin of English. Much of English gets its phonetics, its spelling, and its words from Latin. The same is true for Hindi and Sanskrit. But I don't know how to speak Hindi. I don't even know how to speak Sanskrit in terms of having a grammatically correct conversation. But the words I have been involved around since. You cannot escape them. Wherever you are, whatever spiritual tradition, Sanskrit is probably at the root in what comes to the vocabulary of the precise scientific terms. But still, your question remains. Who taught me that? That's the magic of Sanskrit, and you probably won't believe me. But Sanskrit reveals itself to you. Sanskrit is not a language that is taught like English or Spanish or German, where you have to go into a classroom. It's a language that appears to you through meditating on the very structure of sound and the metaphor that it has when it comes to the meaning that it conveys. I don't expect anyone to believe me on this, but I trust that if you meditate on this too, Sanskrit will reveal itself. Thank you, dear Vanessa, for the tiny Yahoo! And Roxy, thank you for your half a dozen cloud bread. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. And Koli, thank you for your heart meat. Radhe or Radhe. Speaking of which, Rani, you were wondering, what does that mean? It's a Sanskrit word. And yes, Shakira answered it. Very good. It's an ancient salutation, and it's an honorific for the divine feminine that exists within everyone. And Nume, you are wondering if I like to dance or if I don't do it. Well, I don't know if I've ever taken a class on dance or participated in a performance in that regard, but I think much of life is like a dance, and I try to be the best dancer as I'm opening a door and walking myself through, or spinning around because I'm happy in my room, or jumping up and down when someone is bringing joy into the space. In that way, I like to dance, but I have no formal training. And dear Lone Wolf, you're wondering if I've had water to date. It's very kind of you, and so many of you, for keeping track of my hydration. My water bottle is on the other side of my room, but I will remember to drink some after. And hello, Kelly the Lamb. Much love to you. Happy to have you here. Yune, you shared that you've been studying Sanskrit for many years. That's wonderful. And Talon, speaking of Sanskrit, you're wondering if I'm going to try to learn Sanskrit one day. Well, I learn a little bit more every day as I immerse myself in this tradition of the Sanatana Dharma. But I would love to sit at the feet of a master and have them convey to me the innermost truths in the language of Sanskrit and learn from those mystical sounds and vibrations. Thank you, Koli, for your heart meat too. Radhe, oh, Radhe. Eljab, you share that in college you chose to use disciplined dance for an assignment on the Gita's action. I like that. That's your practice of karma yoga. Dance is a great example of karma yoga. Because the point of an action, the point of a karma at the spiritual level is to do it, not to get anything in return. For example, you don't dance just to get to the end of the song. If that were the case, the best dancers in the world would be the ones who could dance the fastest. And Alan Watts, I think, had a joke about this too, that musicians would be graded based on how fast they could play a musical piece, how quickly they could get to the end of a song. But the point of dance, the point of music, nay, the point of action, of karma, is not for what you get at the end. It's not for where it leads you. The purpose is to find expression through the act itself. Dance is a wonderful form of true karma yoga, finding union, yoga in action, in karma. Hello, dear Mermander. Welcome. Rani, you ask, how does one acquire such wisdom as me? Well, you're very kind. This assumes I have wisdom, or that it is acquirable. I think there's a subtle assumption here that's really beautiful. But I am touched at another level. Nonetheless, the point here, to use the verb acquire, implies that it's something you don't already have, and therefore you must go in search of it. And this is true for everything material. If you want new clothes, you have to acquire it. If you want a university degree, you have to acquire that. If you want more money, you have to acquire that. Everything material, you have to go forth to acquire it, because we are not born with anything material with the exception of our body. Even then, you could say, there is some degree of acquiring the body. You could say. But true wisdom, wisdom that doesn't just come and go like everything else material, it cannot, in a sense, be acquired from an external source, because that would imply that it can be separated from you. But true knowledge, wouldn't you agree, be something that is almost baked into your existence, that you don't have to go out and search for, because it's already here. Maybe it just has yet to be pointed out, but it's not missing. It just requires more awareness, more conscious direction. In this way, I think the reason that I feel comfortable going on a live stream every day for hours at a time, without ever having to pick up a script, is because I'm not forcing myself to get this information from anywhere secondary to what's already occurring before me. If I speak of anything wise at all, it's not because I've put in the effort to go and find it somewhere else. It's because it's all around us. It's in the air, so to speak. It's in your DNA. It's embedded in and as our consciousness. So if you just make observations about what is, well, you could never run out of talking points, could you? If you have a painting before you, as long as you keep bringing your awareness to unique elements of it, words would just flow. Does that require memorization or study, or going to a school? Perhaps for the vocabulary, and the vocabulary is important, but for the sake of appreciating, valuing, and understanding inherent qualities of this moment, all that requires is presence. So all this is to say that this is free. You don't have to go in search of that which is right in front of you, I guess. And thank you, dear Koli, for your quartet of best teams. Hari Om Tat Sat, and hello Heruka Films, welcome. We just suddenly make notice of them. I like the way you put that, Anna. Actually, this serves as the definition for two beautiful Sanskrit terms, Paravidya and Aparavidya. Vidya is a word that means knowledge. It's where we get the term for the scriptures, the Vedas. It's actually ultimately where we get the term wit in English, since it starts with a labial approximate and has a palatal vowel and then a dental consonant. Vidya eventually becomes wit in English. Nowadays we don't use wit that much, but not too long ago it would be used to describe a kind of knowledge. If you say someone's witty, well, there's something clever about them, isn't it? Anyway, the two kinds of vidya, two kinds of knowledge. Paravidya refers to that which can never be separate from your experience. It only requires realization, revelation. And Aparavidya is knowledge that has to be sought out in the world. It comes and goes. You gain an engineering degree, and then in your retirement you forget all of the calculus. So it comes and goes. Very close, Hari. Paravidya, Paravidya. And Aparavidya, you just slap an A in front of that. That would be how you transliterate it in English. Or in Latin, the Latin alphabet. I should be more specific. Dear Marmander, you're wondering if I have any wisdom for us or anything that's been on my heart or mind lately. How we set the intention for our morning is so important for how our day goes. I won't make the claim that your intention necessarily creates the circumstances that you face in the day. However, how you face all of the circumstances, and that's really what we have to deal with. It's not the circumstances, but it's the nature of our own engagement with the day. Because we can have a terrible day but still end it joyfully. We can laugh throughout it all and not take it to heart and go to sleep and be happy to start the next day. Similarly, you can have a day where everything actually goes right, circumstantially, but still we're bummed out or disappointed for some reason. So there's two things happening. The outer circumstance and our inner expression of life as well. Waking up in the morning, I think a lot of us have an alarm that pisses us off. We hate hearing it. Oh boy. And then, oh my bladder, I gotta go to the bathroom. And you start frantically putting things together in your kitchen to make breakfast or whatever. But if you start your day with a little grace, just 5 seconds before your feet touch the ground, sitting at the edge of your bed, maybe put your hands together or have them open, look out the window and just set the intention for the day, for how you want to be. Not for how you want your day to be, but for how you want to be today. I want to be humble. I allow myself to be proven wrong. I'm allowed to make mistakes today. Things don't have to go right. I may have ups and downs in my feelings, and that's okay. And none of it will take the joy in my heart away. You can have gratitude for your body. Thank you, dear Mother Earth, for lending me this clump of earth, which I will return to you someday. Allow me to make the earth better than as it was when I first found it. Your mood for that day is just something you cultivate then, rather than something decided. You get to decide. Decided by the world, rather. Mermander, you shared that you keep missing these lives. They used to start at 6 MST. What time do they start now? Well, I have to be honest with you that I have no definite time today. I am sorry. I am a bit of a recluse in that way. But generally in the afternoons, around the time that you're watching now, on my stories, right now I've been uploading, before I go live on my Instagram and now on TikTok, a story just expressing that I'll be live shortly. But I do go live every day. Haruka, you share that Paravidya is said to elitist pursuit, accessible to only few. My thoughts on it, please. Even though we all have access to higher knowledge, that's a possibility within us. In order to do so, we have to let go of a lot of our ways of being. This is a possibility within everyone. But it's up to the individual to decide whether they wish to embark on that journey. Because the definition of Paravidya, of higher knowledge, is that which is always a part of your experience, then the only reason we don't recognize it is because something's in the way. And our attention is elsewhere. What is in the way? It's all of our prejudices and assumptions about how things should be, rather than the nature of how they are. So, whereas the pursuit of Aparavidya is going forth and getting something, Paravidya works in the reverse, where we take what we have and we give it away. We let go of it. Then we can find what remains there after. So the reason most people don't discover Paravidya is because to do so requires a sacrifice of our assumptions and our preconceptions about the world, about the nature of ourself. Basically, it's a process of unlearning. And that requires us to be vulnerable. That requires us to admit that we're holding on to an idea that's not true. No wonder it's only for a select few, because that requires a lot of grace and humility. To really look at something that we've held on to for so long and let go of it. It's a very difficult, challenging thing to do. I totally agree, Lisa. Vulnerability can be so hard to do. Hello, Heather Feather. It's nice to see you too. Vanessa, you share that you sometimes get panic attacks after waking up. I know how you feel. In fact, just last night, in the middle of the night, probably around maybe 4 in the morning, I woke up panicked. You know, my mind and body were in distress. And I got out of bed and I walked to the bathroom. And this is a feeling that I've had so many times before, that I've discovered that if I just go back to bed, and I almost just have dispassion towards the feeling, like I'm over it, then I can go back to bed and feel better. But if I stay up and worry about whatever is worrying me, then it can spiral. I find that my anxiety has a lot to do with my sleep. And if I get enough sleep, I'm usually not very anxious. But if I have a poor sleep, if I wake up maybe too early, and I don't go back to sleep, then that anxiety can become more intense. Maybe you can relate with this. But what helps me is that it's like a friend who's been annoying you all day, and so you stop giving them attention because you know they're just trying to get a reaction out of you. Sometimes it's the same with anxiety, where it's like a friend who's just been bugging you for so long that you're used to their ways of trying to get a reaction out of you. So you just go, not today. I think you can develop that with your own anxiety sometimes. Oh, not today, anxiety. No, I'm too tired to create a reaction for you. I think it's a funny way of being. And it creates space between the feeling and yourself, because it makes the feeling itself what is trying to bother you, rather than you being the one which is bothered. It's a shift in identity. Magdalene, you're going to schedule your panic attack at 4 p.m. I like that. That's a really useful technique that I've actually heard psychologists say, that if you're ever dealing with a sensation that's really overwhelming, tell yourself that you're going to give yourself time to be able to process it. I used this when I was in high school and I was going through my first big breakup, really brokenhearted. And one of the ways that I heard a psychologist mention getting over a breakup is just set a time during the day where you be sad. And for me it was, an hour after school ended for me, something like 4 p.m. At 4 p.m. my alarm would go off on my phone and I'd think about the breakup, I'd think about how much it hurt me and how I was grieving. And that was my time of the day to process it. I think you all can process at any time you want, but sometimes when you have other responsibilities, it's helpful to give yourself some peace of mind by designating a time of day to process that. My friends would be so concerned that my alarm would go off and they'd go, "What's that?" And then I just close my eyes. I wouldn't really tell them because I was a little embarrassed, but they would be so concerned why I'd have this alarm go off at 4 p.m. and I just go inside for a little bit. But if you have supportive friends, I'm sure that you can just tell them and they'll understand. Time to be sad, guys. Sorry. Yeah. It's sad time. It's sad hour. We have happy hour. We can have sad hour too. Oh, thank you, Tacoma. You're wondering, do I have a website or a book or something? Well, it's very kind of you. I'm happy you would appreciate my advice. I'm just sharing my experience for free. I don't have a book. I actually have a couple websites, but not related to this. I have a link tree in my bio that goes to many links There's a YouTube channel where I upload all of these live streams and various clips. And there's a ASMR YouTube channel where I do some more relaxing content. And I have a link that goes to my Sanskrit website where I explore the sounds of Sanskrit. And I have a math website that's no longer linked there where I do math. But no, I'm just a silly little goose. And I'm happy to be here for you as a fellow earthling on this planet. And if you ever have a capacity to reach out, my messages on other platforms are always open. On Instagram, on Telegram, WhatsApp, or email. I'm always happy to answer questions there that I can't answer in the live stream. And it's always for free. There are some impersonators that charge for spiritual services. I don't really have any formal services, nor would I ever charge for them, so everything I do is for free. Hi Bridgen. You are apologizing if your energy is overwhelming. You think you're going to be kicked out of here, but you're not. Oh, where has this come from? I have not felt an ounce of overwhelming sensations from you, and I have no intention of kicking you out. Chelsea, you share that you had anxiety when you came to the live. Now it's calm. Well, I'm happy you feel better. It always passes, doesn't it? Nikki, you share that you have feelings for someone who is taken, and you feel horrible. What should you do? Well, the heart wants what the heart wants, and that's okay. You can't blame yourself for falling in love. You can't blame gravity for falling in love either. The nature of love is mysterious and unpredictable. However, the feelings associated with them definitely very real. Ultimately, what we love about someone, when it really comes down to it, if you dissect what it is you love, it's that they give you a place to put your love. You know, why is it that a mother, that a father loves their baby so much? Because it's the perfect place to put their love. They literally see firsthand how their own love creates growth. Same thing with someone who takes care of a garden. When you take care of a garden, you love your flowers, you love your plants, you love the soil, because it's the perfect place to put your love. You see the growth that's capable there. The nature of love is such that we are drawn towards where our love can easily be filled. If they are taken, then they are already getting love from a different place, and we can be happy for them in that regard. You know, if they have the capacity to be loved and grow from that, then it's wonderful that they're getting that from anywhere at all. And it's wonderful that you see something in them that can be loved. But your love is meant to be given to a place where growth blossoms therefrom. So if you give your love to a source that's close to it, well, you know, that would be like watering a patch of soil where there is no seeds. Nothing would grow. What would you get from your investment of love? The purpose of your love is to make things grow And so places that deserve growth, you should give your love to. And I'm sure that you'll find all the same aspects that you love in this person in beings all around the world, since we all share such a similar capacity to grow from love. And that includes yourself. And thank you, dear Peter, for your rose you sent just a minute ago too. Hare Krishna. And incidentally, that did answer your question too, Jacqueline. The only situation where there is a wrong place to put our love, well, there's kind of two. There's where it's not consensual. Of course, we can't give our love to places that don't accept it. On the other end of the spectrum, there's places that accept it, but then use that love to invalidate, to validate their insecurities in the negative sense. I mean that they reinforce their insecurities. And that kind of love we should be cautious to give, because they are growing in such a way like an ingrown nail or an ingrown hair. There is growth, but it's happening in such a way that it ultimately limits the being. Some people can use love as a sign to continue in their negative habits, like they've been given the green light to engage in such a way, and that would be unhealthy for them. It would be like if you spent all of your time at the gym working on only your arm, just one arm, one leg. You do all these exercises for your left half of your body. But actually, although it's a healthy thing to go to the gym, that would put a lot of strain on your spine, as it has to adapt to different strengths on either side of the body, different weights and muscle densities. So it's important to give love more equally. And as such, sometimes that requires us to withdraw some love from a place that is getting an unhealthy sort of validation, and disperse it in other places too. This is my opinion. And thank you, Sapis, for your quintet of roses too. Hari Om Tat Sat. Your love is a precious resource. It's a magic fertilizer. Nikki, you share that you really have a deep connection between you, and maybe that's what you mistake for love. A deep connection? That is love, no doubt. But love doesn't have to be romantic or physically intimate in that sense. Some of the strongest bonds of love are platonic, through friendship or through familial love, Like, let's say, a brother and a sister might have a deep connection, and that is a kind of love. Does that mean they have to be intimate? I should hope not, right? G2 Infinity, you saw my jammies. You're wondering if they have Sanskrit print. No, I'm wearing Tommy Hilfiger. What you saw is the Tommy Hilfiger logo. Aurora, you ask, do I think hate is just as eternal as love? Just you try. Try this experiment. Spend one day loving as much as you can, and then the next day hating as much as you can. Which day do you think you will be more tired out after? What will exhaust you quicker? Of course, the day you spend hating as much as you can. Hating, though powerful, is a finite resource too. We can hate and hate and hate, and eventually, we're too tired to hate anymore. We tire ourselves out. But love, if you genuinely and sincerely love without any expectations, you can love as much as you want and you'll never exhaust yourself. In this way, love is eternal, because you can keep on giving and there's always more love to give. But when it comes to an expression such as hatred, well, you might feel better after you express yourself so fully. You ever just yell at someone and then after you say all the points in an argument, if you ever get frustrated, you'd start pointing out all these things negative about them. And once you get to the final point and there's nothing left, you just feel this drop and it's like, oh, I'm sorry. And you leave the room or whatever. There's a limit to hatred. You can only hate so much before something has to change. That said, some people really put that to the test, don't they? They try to see how long they can go through the day or through their life with as much hatred. But in this lifetime or the next, all forms of hatred within a human being, they have to subside at some point. They are a limitation, and limitations, their sole purpose in existence is to inspire transcendence. It is that place which you reach through transcendence that is eternal, and the limitations that are temporary. Thank you, dear Kylie, for your baker's dozen worth of roses. Hari Om Tat Sat. I love what you share, Stephen. There is no fear in love. And thank you, Indigo, for your trio of roses too. Hare Krishna. A possible gift idea then, G to infinity. I don't think I have any article of clothing with Sanskrit on it, now that I think of it. I don't really have spiritually themed clothing, with the exception of the shirt that I think some of you have seen before with the Buddha on it that my mom bought for me. That says, "Let that shit go" below it. And I think that's great. Now I have to prove to TikTok that this is live. I have to solve a puzzle. There we go. See? That's one thing I can have vouching for me when people don't believe that this is real. Is that I have to solve a verification every day to prove to TikTok that this is real. And I love that, Indigo. People need to love themselves, and then they can love others and all of their parts. How can we expect to be sources of love for others when we can't find that source within ourselves too? Hello, Thorin. Skaldir. It is true. My internet presence and in my own personal life, I have been on quite a journey. Donsuela, you shared that any endeavor that I can perform while wearing pajamas is a most worthy one. Zen Cohen. Thank you, Badarmo, for your ice cream and finger heart. Hari Om Tat Sat. Alcoholic Jesus, you share that the guy you've been seeing for 3 months just ended things with you. I imagine that's an uncomfortable situation for you. I trust that The experiences you've had together, even if they were temporary, were meant to be. And all of the lessons that you've learned are genuine. But the heart is still going to want what it wants, and naturally that grief is going to be a process. That's okay. Stephen, you had asked if I have older wise men to help me on my journey. Oh, like the 3 wise men. Well, my grandfather, before he died, was a great source of wisdom, and I'm always looking towards elders for their experience. Thank you, Father Ma, for your donut too. And Alcoholic Jesus, thank you for your pair of finger hearts. Radhe Radhe. Good morning, Dolly Pero from England. And up the freeway, thank you for your heart me. Jai Sitaram. Nikki, you share that I inspire you to be a better person. Well, all of the betterment that's capable within you, I think that is the very inspiration itself. Perhaps I am like a mirror, and in that mirror you see the reflection of what is possible within you. And because that's an aspect of you, how could I take credit for your very own nature inspiring yourself? So you have to pat your back, give yourself a big hug for being such a possibility. Stephen, you share that sometimes you'd like to go off in the forest and just sit there. It's a masculine urge, isn't it? G2 Infinity, you're wondering if we could read another section from Bhima. Yes, we can. I just have to find her. There she is. Bhima Chodron, the wonderful Buddhist nun. Thank you for reminding me. Let's see. Here's a passage of the pocket Bhima Chodron we have not read yet. '95 is called Ravens in the Wind. How do we work with our tendency to block and to freeze and to refuse to take another step toward the unknown? If our edge is like a huge stone wall with a door in it, how do we learn to open that door and step through it again and again, so that life becomes a process of growing up, of becoming more and more fearless and flexible, more and more able to play like a raven in the wind? Where I live, on Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, I didn't know she was Canadian too, I see the wilder the weather is, the more the ravens love it. They have the time of their lives in the winter, when the wind gets much stronger and there's lots of ice and snow. They challenge the wind. They got up on the tops of the trees, and they hold on with their claws, and then they grab on with their beaks as well. At some point, they just let go into the wind and let it blow them away. Then they play on it. They float on it. After a while, they'll go back to the tree and start over. It's a game, you see. Once I saw ravens in an incredible hurricane velocity wind grabbing each other's feet and dropping and then letting go and flying out. It was like a circus act. The animals and the plants on Cape Breton are hardy and fearless, and playful and joyful. The elements have strengthened them. In order to exist there, they have had to develop a zest for challenge and for life. As you can see, it adds up to tremendous beauty and inspiration and an uplifted feeling. The same goes for us. Thank you for listening. I love that. Sometimes the wind is not there to blow us down, but to provide us with a strengthening force to grow in and play with. Now, after my comment of the masculine urge to go and meditate in a forest, we have sparked a conversation on this. Indigo, you shared that forest is also a feminine urge. And Indigo, you shared as well that you perceive in meditation each of us has a masculine and feminine energy that's not gendered. Yes, have you seen my latest video on this? In fact, this is the precise topic of my last video. When we talk of the masculine and feminine, I do not mean male and female. The masculine is within a male and a female, and the feminine is in a male and a female too. This nature of Prakriti and Purusha, the precise definition of it, it implies that meditation is a masculine act that both men and women can partake in. It doesn't take away from your ability to be a woman to meditate, nor does it make you more of a man to meditate either. But the forest itself, to be with nature, that's absolutely a feminine urge, because she is Mother Nature herself. And it doesn't make one any less of a man to embrace their feminine urge to be with nature, nor does it make a woman any more of one, because she's embracing that too. Man and woman truly have very little to do with the masculine and feminine, since we all exist through Mother Nature in the form of the feminine, but experience and understand ourselves through the form of the masculine. But in modern times, of course, there have been much nuances that have added to this discussion. Many gender roles and relationships created through social construct with our biological sex, but that's all a discussion which is, I hope, one which is addressed in my latest video. So please feel free to watch that. And thank you, dear, up the freeway, for your heart meet a few minutes ago. And Alcoholic Jesus, thank you for your pair of finger hearts too. Om Dum Durgai Namaha. And Indigo Sky, thank you for your 21 roses. Radhe Radhe. Now, Bunny Chaos, you shared that you were listening to a song that was really touching, and there's a sentence that you'd like to share. I hope that it comes through. I'm so happy that you all enjoy Bhima. She's a wonderful Buddhist nun and one of the wisest women in the world. I hope that the sentence that Bunny Chaos comes through soon that you wanted to share. Hello, dear Alex. I am quite well in this moment. Thank you for asking. How are you? And hello, Kwame Gio. Indigo, you're wondering if I have a community. Well, you're in it. In this moment. And hello, Envies. And thank you, Badharmo, for your trio of roses you sent a few minutes ago. Hari Om Tat Sat. Like a bull, you're wondering, what universities or teachings have I absorbed? Probably none. I went to university for 4 years, and I probably showed up to as many classes as I can count on my 10 fingers here. I discovered that a lot more of life takes place outside the classroom than it does inside, you know. It was a strange realization for me that I was spending so much money to go inside this box we call a classroom and listen to this person read from a book. But what does all that have to do with my ability to be a better son, you know, a better friend? What does it have to do with the ultimate purpose of life and my ability to be a human being, part of this earth? How does it relate to the deepest mysteries in the cosmos? I don't know. I just couldn't help but learn from a different perspective. One that doesn't come from a teacher or a classroom or a textbook or any book like that. One that comes from just being with this life that we call. Even just sitting by oneself on a bench. Thinking about the nature of the universe. So much comes in that moment where you are on that bench. So much comes when you take a walk or you lay on the grass. Or chatting with friends. I think that's the most priceless education, in my opinion. There are many ways in which we can help the world be a better place, and many of them require us the qualifications to do so. And for those that are pursuing those qualifications, I think that's wonderful. And for those who are looking for a kind of complete sense of self-awareness, I don't think that can be given in a book or a teacher or a classroom. That comes from grace. From sitting with oneself away from distractions, from allowing yourself to process this experience of life we've had thus far. Dali, you were wondering, what was the reaction of my parents to leave university? There wasn't one, really. I was very surprised too, actually. You know, part of me, even though my parents have been very clear about the fact that I could choose my own way, I was worried that I would disappoint them in some way. But when I did share my intentions to not go back to school, they were supportive and understanding, and the conversation was over just like that, and they never brought it up or held any resentment, and yeah, it was pretty amazing. Even my grandmother, who put money in a savings account since I was born to go to university, you know, she said, well, whatever makes you happy. And I was surprised and a little in disbelief at how understanding they were. And thank you, dear Badramal, for your trio of roses. Radhe, Radhe. Thank you, Hybrid Jen, for your disco love and your paper crane. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Many of you can relate with my experience. Alex, you were wondering, what is my chosen path? Just being here now, I suppose. I don't have any long-term goals, no destination for myself in the future. All I know is that the universe will bring me to whatever I need to accomplish, and in that moment, I will face it. As long as I am attentive to this moment now, then I'm on the path itself. I never liked being under a label of a certain demographic or path. I like to find my own way through the forest, off trail. You cannot call it anything other than the path that I am on. Because it has never been done before. No one's ever been me before until this moment. No one's ever been you before. So how can we ascribe to ourselves the name of a path that someone else has trekked before, when no one has ever been how and where we are in this moment? Aurora, you're wondering, when does material things end and consciousness begin? Where does the sky end and space begin? It is the same question. Where does the nature of the earth end and the space begin? Some people say, oh, it's at the Kármán line, 1,000 kilometers up or whatever. Other people say, no, there's other physical factors we can point to. But we're stressing ourselves out so much over what the answer is, we never thought to ask if there was an answer. Because we've assumed a frame of reference that might not necessarily be true. Is there a point where we can say with certainty that, oh, you're in space now and no longer in the sky, part of Earth? Or is it such that the sky extends in a smooth gradient, continually tapering off, and that space pervades it all? When we say that the Earth is in space, we don't merely mean to say that space is up there and no longer here. There's space here too. There's just stuff filling that space at the same time. Space is the container. Space permeates the whole of the container, including everything contained within. Likewise, yes, there may be physical boundaries for where one object in this material existence starts and stops. But that doesn't mean where a material object stops, suddenly consciousness is. Consciousness is the space, the container, in which we find all the particles, all the atoms, all the molecules, all the organelles, all the cells, all the people, the whole ecosystem, all the planets, all the solar systems, all the galaxies, You cannot separate consciousness from material existence, because consciousness is the foundation of material existence. This is also a topic in my latest video. That Purusha, that primordial consciousness, is inseparable from Prakriti, the nature, the material existence that it is one with. But there is another level to this discussion, another layer. There is material consciousness, and that is something that has a beginning and an end. It's when we are identified with something material. The illusion isn't the material reality. This is a common misconception in Vedanta, that because material consciousness is an illusion, we mean to imply that the world is an illusion. But that's an incorrect understanding. The world is very real. What's not real is our dependence upon it for our beingness. That our consciousness does not depend on materialism to exist. You don't have to have a nice car. You don't even have to have a body. You don't have to have that job. You don't have to have the money in the world to be the most perfect version of the consciousness that illumines this experience. You can do with this world what you want, and it's helpful to generate wealth and to take care of this body because it provides us with an expression of ourself. But to assume that the expression of ourself is ourself, that is the illusion that is to be transcended. The material world is not to be transcended. It's not like when you're enlightened, the world disappears and it was all an illusion. What disappears is our identification with the world. That suddenly we understand ourselves to be a spiritual essence having a material experience, not a material being having a spiritual experience. And thank you, dear Usha, for your hand hearts. Here are some hand hearts for you as well. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bobby Sue, dear, thank you for your heart me and team bracelet. Best team, and it cheer you up as well. Radhe Radhe. And Jeremy, thank you for your heart. Om Sum Saryaya Namaha. Jessica, you're reminded of Krishna with the universe in his mouth. I love that. And if you really listen closely to the Bhagavad Gita, you discover that there's not a lot of difference between ourself and Krishna. I'm glad that you saw that video, Thor. I hope that it was insightful to you. Benny Chaos. Oh, yes, I remember you wanted to share a lyric, a line that spoke out to you. If you listen to the song To a Pigeon Goddess Girl, A Maho, it helped you with To Be Left Uncontrived. I love that sentiment. That's beautiful. I'm happy that music is such a powerful force in your life. Travis, you ask such a beautiful question. How do you stop hating your shortcomings in life? Serious question. It's actually a really good thing that we are aware of our shortcomings, because that's the only way in which we can improve. The only way to become more knowledgeable, become more learned, become more helpful, become more patient, is to be aware of all the ways in which we are ignorant, in which we are unlearned, in which we are impatient, in which we are selfish, etc. And with that comes the purpose. The purpose of being aware of these shortcomings is so that we know how much there is to grow to, from, and through. The shortcomings are not permanent aspects of your being that we have to shame until they disappear. Right now, like a plant, you are growing, and you are just becoming aware of all the ways in which you continue to grow through, from, and to. That's a beautiful thing. It's not like people are full of good habits and bad habits. There are only habits that have had the time to blossom fully, which we call good, and habits that may still need some more time to blossom, that we call bad. But in either case, it's not one entity as separate from another. It's one continuum, just at different levels of blossoming, of unveiling. What we perceive as faults, bad habits, defects, are just places in which there's now space to grow. So if we are conscious of that space and how much there is to grow, then it's a wonderful thing. And you don't have to be so hard on yourself for just having more space to grow. Oh, that's such a sweet sentiment, Hannon. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for your 29 roses too. I think I tally up. Hare Krishna. And Stevie O, thank you for your quartet of roses. Dum Durgaye Namaha. Fanny Chaos, thank you for your rose too. Om Shri Hanumate Namaha. Jeremy, thank you for your team bracelet and balloons. Hare Krishna. So you were wondering what I think about the Bhakti movement. Well, I hope that it's a movement within yourself. Bhakti being a beautiful Sanskrit term referring to loving devotion. It is such an important aspect of our spirituality, of our humanity. Loving devotion never means repression of people that do not believe in the same things we do. Loving devotion means that we have a sense of reverence for this life we call ours, a kind of gratitude, and with that, a deep desire to make something out of it. We've been given all the tools for success, all of the instruments to making a harmony out of this life. Loving devotion should be the very drive in which we express this gift of life. And Hannon, you're wondering how I have such healthy voluminous hair. There's so many words that have the root volume, voluptuous, voluminous. Okay, that's two. I don't know if that counts as a lot, but anyway. To tell you the truth, I use the same shower that my mother and my sister use. They have so many different kinds of hair products. I don't understand all of them. All I do is with the water in my eyes, I look for the first one that says shampoo anywhere on it. Alright, that's going on first. Who knows if it's the same shampoo I used the last time I showered. Then the next thing I pick up with now shampoo in my eyes, if I see anywhere on the bottle it says conditioner. Alright, that's going in second. And that's my hair care routine. I call it my shower lottery. That sometimes I get the perfect combo and my hair is looking luscious. Other times it's not a great combo, and maybe I misread it and I put the conditioner in first, and who knows. It's a gamble. I'm not conscious of the process. Good evening, Alan. You share that you're feeling as though you are being blocked or denied abundance from the universe. That's a genuine feeling. Given your experience, it makes sense. You share that you're a good person and have always acted for the benefit of others. What gives? Well, you do, hopefully. You should be the one giving, as you share that you have been. Giving is the gift itself. The more opportunities there are to give, the more abundant life is. But the moment that we feel like we should be compensated for what we give, then we lose insight on the greatest gift that we have already been given, and that's the opportunity to give itself. Now, there are some nuances with this, of course, like if you're giving to a place that's taking advantage of your selflessness, then you should set those boundaries. And if you have your own needs that should be met by others who have a responsibility to you, then you should express your feelings to them. But with the universe, we have everything we need inside us. The reason why giving is so much more important than receiving is because giving assumes that you are a source of joy, of bliss, of healing, of love. And receiving assumes that you are missing any of that. If you feel like you are missing any of that, then the greatest treatment, the greatest remedy is just to give more. That way, you remember how much actually is inside you. But naturally, the universe does challenge us. There will be times where it feels like all the places we give are ungrateful. And there will be times where all the places we give are full of gratitude. And there will be places where it's neutral. I consider it like a challenge. The universe inspires this challenge before us to gauge our accountability and humility. And it's natural to feel as though you struggle every day to achieve success. You're successful in your struggle, and you don't have to hit the mark. There aren't any deadlines on the spiritual path. You are successful just for waking up. You are successful for doing your best. Living a challenging life can be the most rewarding life. And if you feel like you're overexerting yourself, that can also be a sign to give some love to your body, your mind, as they need it too. You're not doing anything wrong for feeling like this. It sounds like a completely natural part of the journey. And thank you, dear mental issues, for the disco love you sent. Radhe, oh Radhe. And Kalki, thank you for your pair of roses. Jai Sita Ram. Nunya, thank you for your heart me. Hari Om Tat Sat. Time is precious. And I'm sure that in our final moments, we will not be bummed out about all the things that we didn't receive. It'll be all the opportunities to give more love to this world. If anything, that we will be so conscious of. In this way, the greatest gift is the karma, the actions that we can provide for the world. For we have come here not because the world needs anything from us, nor do we need anything from the world, but we need to give to the world in order to be a source of love. And that is our true purpose. And you're feeling like you have not done enough. That can be the root of humility. And it's a beautiful feeling, as long as you don't shame yourself for it. Knowing this to be a universal truth, that there's always more to do, it inspires us and is not meant to hamper our growth or our capacity to give. That lesson in humility is so beautiful to me, because on one hand, I see all the things that I could be doing and I grieve. But on the other hand, I see all the things that I could be doing and I am inspired. Thank you, Nanya, for your cloud bread too. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. But you are wondering, what is the most important gift one can give? Goes by many names, but none in particular. Some call it acceptance, some call it understanding, others call it love. Just by giving a space for someone to be themselves in, express themselves genuinely, to feel understood and grow, is that not the most we could ever offer someone? And I'm happy that you appreciate the Yam Dana, Kalki. And thank you, dear Nunya, for your pair of GGs. Hari Om Tat Sat. Muddy, you were wondering what a typical day looks like for me. I don't think I have typical days. I wake up, I am on a rock bigger than I can imagine, hurling around a giant ball of fire, even more unimaginable, in a giant universe full of solar systems just like our own, part of many galaxies in this whole universe. One in a chain of ancestors that goes back how many generations? Part of life, with a body borrowed by this earth, an inherent sense of intelligence and self-awareness. I don't think any part of my day is typical. Every part of my day is mystical, because I am mystified by even the nature of the smallest things, all the way up to the cosmic scale. That said, on a human level, I wake up, before my feet touch the ground, I do a prayer, and then I do a little puja for my Ishta Devata, the forms of the divine which connect with me. You know, I take some vitamins and I do some love and affection for my Tulasi plant. Prune her, do my mantras with her, spray some neem tree oil on her for her health. Offer her leaves and flowers that I pick to the divine, and say hi to my kitties, feed them if they need to, go on a live stream, maybe make a TikTok video. Maybe at some point I just go into my bed and I take a nap, watch videos on anything from spirituality to speedrunning strategies and games I've never played. Maybe I go for a walk. Maybe I watch Lilo and Stitch. I did that last night. But it's not what I do during my day that's important. It's how I do it that's important. And I try to treat each part of my day as if it's, the last thing I'll ever do. If I can be grateful for this moment, then that's all I need in order to treat it as a precious experience that I might never have again. We are not guaranteed another day, so I feel like every day I'm living in the afterlife. If you want to be in heaven tomorrow, then imagine that you could die today. And you will wake up feeling like you've been given a new chance at life every morning. Thank you, dear Babblefishy, for the balloons you shared as well. Ariom Tat Sat. Now, dear spade emoji. Is that a spade or a club? It's a spade. You ask, do I have advice to stop thinking about other people's opinions? There's 4 different versions of ourself that exist. There's how we really are, of course. And then there's how we think we really are. And then there's how others think we really are. And then there's how we think others think we really are. Our true self is unimaginable. And by true self, I mean the source of our existence. Even if we don't feel like it, we are an expression of all that has been. And we plant seeds for all that will be. We only get to experience even a part of our own self directly. Through our body, through our mind, through our personality, through our actions, through our talents, through our likes and dislikes. It's just impossible to fathom our true nature of ourself. We are infinite, but we cannot experience our infinity in one moment in time. That is why we have time, so that in each moment we discover a new aspect of our infinite self. The same self in you, the same self in me, from which we all come from. So we only ever have a version of ourselves in our mind. And we are always going to be wrong about the version of ourself, because no version can encapsulate the true breadth and depth of our own being. So what of others? The version that they have in their heads of us? Well, it must be even less accurate. And the version we have of ourself in the version of them that we have in our mind, well, that must be even less accurate. So don't worry about the version of yourself that exists within you, exists within them, and exists within them within you. Because you are your true self. And being your true self, you don't have to worry about who you are. In some sense, it's not even our business to know who we are, because our true self can never be known in full by ourselves. All we can know is that there is so much to know. All we can know about ourselves is that there's so much that we have yet to understand. This much we can understand. So forget other people's opinions about you. Nobody knows who they are. But the good news is that we don't have to, because we are who we are. And we are who we are whether we know who we are or not. We are the Satchitananda Atma, the true self, which is conscious and blissful. That is our original nature, and it can only ever be known in part, in each moment as we blossom like an infinite lotus from time immemorial unto eternity. Hello, Master Mix Promos. Welcome back. I am well. And you are wondering, what energy do you give off? I experience only love from you and from everyone else. For me to experience anything other than that would be my own limitation, because that's all we are, ultimately, is a source of love. If I cannot perceive that love within you, then that is an error on my perception. Thank you, dear bands, for the rose as well. Harion Tatsat. Spades, you share that I take time to answer questions and you think that's great. Oh, I'm so happy. You know, I'd love to give hours of my time to each of your questions, but unfortunately, other questions are asked in the time that I am responding, so I do have to stop myself at some point so I can give my attention to everyone. But I appreciate your patience. And Jeffrey, thank you for your heart meet, your quintet of best teams, and 10 team bracelets. Hare Krishna. And John F., thank you for your heart meet, friendship necklace, finger heart, and a tiny yippee. And Jeffrey, thank you for your octet of roses too. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Brandon, you're wondering, how long have I been growing this glorious mane? Well, I'm happy you find gloriousness in it. It was about maybe 4 years now. I've had a haircut since then, but yeah, I remember walking away from my barber, and it must have been a terrible haircut because I said, this is going to be my last haircut for a long time. When I was younger, I've always wanted long hair, but I told myself that I didn't deserve it yet because I wasn't wise enough. So I had medium and at some point short hair for much of my life. But yeah, at some point I felt like I was ready to embrace the vibe that long hair carries with it, you know. I think you have to have some kind of commitment to talk about these things if you have long hair. You know, it goes with the job. It's a responsibility. Long-haired people, you have to be committed to learning from the experiences of others and relaying that to people in your life. It's just what long hair means, doesn't it? Thank you, dear Mary, for the rose you sent too. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Hybrid Gent, thank you for your quintet of roses. Om Namah Shivaya. Hanan, you are wondering if I like going camping in nature. I haven't done that in a long time, but I would love that experience again. Halen, you're wondering if I ever said why I posted the AAVE video. You keep having to turn your volume up and down. Oh. To tell you the truth, there's not a lot of profound meaning when it comes to what specific videos I make on. It's just whatever comes to my mind at that time. I think I work maybe a little differently than other content creators because I never have a script. I never do any research, although I did a little bit for AAVE because of course the cultural nuances I really want to respect. But mostly I just make videos on what I've experienced, and So I open my phone and I just start speaking, and then that's my video for today. And at that moment I was thinking about AAVE, and I tried to find a spiritual lesson in everything that I think about. And thank you for your time as well, Brandon. My best wishes are with you, and I'm happy that you find a beauty in me, Manuela. Thank you. But you had asked if I believe beings can communicate with me in dreams. For me, there just kind of is one big being, you know. Many people use the terms entity, sometimes maybe angels or spirit guides, but to me that's all part of our higher self. So my word choices often reflect my feeling of just being one with all that, rather than using a term that might separate it. I feel like a lot of communication happens between our higher self and our self in dream. Absolutely. And maybe you could say that communication is intermediated by beings, but for me, I feel like the subconscious is the storehouse of all of our experiences. And so in dreams, we're interacting directly with a deeper self, our own subconscious. That's not to say that we make up our dreams. In fact, it's what gives them the meaning, is because the meaning that's attached to it is due to our own experience of these impressions that have sunk deep within our consciousness. And our consciousness is that highest self that we share, that we connect with at deeper levels in our dream. Sarah, you're wondering if I can recommend a chant or mantra for relaxation. My favorite mantra is the Maha mantra, and the Maha mantra is great because it has no prescribed chandra, which is a meter, or svara, which is tone. Many mantras have qualifications, and we have to be really specific about the phonetical pronunciation, the meter, the rhythm in which we pronounce it, and even the frequencies, the pitch which we sing them. Some mantras also have qualifications given by a teacher, but the Maha mantra has no such things. It's very explicitly set in the Kali Santara Upanishad, that the Maha mantra of the 16 names of Narayan have absolutely no qualification, and anyone can chant them at any place, in any circumstance, at any speed, at any rhythm, at any pitch, and you will experience the benefit of them. So that's the Maha mantra, Mahamantra, and it goes like this. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. There's just 3 different words chanted in a very easy rhythm. 1 2 1 2 1 1 2 2 1 3 1 3 1 1 3 3. 1 2 3, that's Hare, Rama and Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. To understand the meaning, which is important, you know. I guess there's one qualification, which is, you should know what it means to reinforce it. Hari means salutations to the one which steals the hearts of great beings. Krishna means the one whom forcibly attracts all minds of great beings. And Rama means the one in whom all great beings dwell. So, at a much slower speed, but in English, you are invoking the essence. Salutations to the one whom steals the heart of great beings. That one in whom all great beings dwell. That one whom forcibly attracts the minds of all great beings. Something really beautiful about the divinity that this mantra is imbuing, saluting, is that the mantra is the divinity itself. Because when you are within this experience of mantra japa, what is that one whom steals your heart, forcibly attracts your mind, and in whom you dwell? It is the mantra itself in that moment. Why is that important? Because we may be concerned about seeing the divine, having a form of the divine that appears to us that we can see. But we forget about the sound experience. The sound experience is immediately available for everyone. That divine might be mischievous in not revealing the sight form, the appearance to the eyes, but to the ears, that divinity has left behind innumerable names which we can sing ourselves to bring the divine directly to our ears. What's different between a human name and a divine name is that a human name references the person. Like if I call you out Manuela, by saying Manuela, I am not bringing you into existence. I am referring to an existence that already is somewhere else on this planet. But when we say a divine name, it's of a different nature. The name is one with the divine itself. When we say Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. It's not that we're referring to a being that's somewhere else. We are literally bringing that being into existence merely by the chanting and remembering thereof. And thank you, dear Jeffrey, for the fire and applause. Here's an applause for you. And the cloud bread that you sent. I think, did you mention that you were leaving? If so, anyway, my gratitude may reach itself to you in some way. And my best wishes go in that direction. Oh my goodness. Abel, that's so funny. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh my goodness. I'm happy you loved mantra, Jessica. Mantra, oh, it's an innate part of human existence. Chanting, it is so embedded in our DNA, you know. If you just even imagine like a stereotypical example of a cave person, huddled around a fire, maybe in a cave. If they're doing anything around that fire besides eating and sleeping, it's probably some form of rhythmic chanting. I know that many evolutionary psychologists point to chanting as one of the first communal and spiritual rituals that we participate in as a community. And it's something we can do by ourselves to get ourselves into deep states of trance. I think there is a faculty of our mind which is literally meant for mantra. But in the absence of a culture today in the West that gives you mantras, we just stim instead. So we take memes and sounds we find on TikTok and other social media, choruses of our favorite song or things people have said to us, and then that gets trapped in the part of our brain which is meant for mantra. And we drive ourselves mad with repeating insults that things that have been sent our way, with catchy tunes. HOTWYRE, hotwire.com. But we have a faculty that's meant for japa, for rhythmic chanting, and it puts us into states of consciousness. And I love that addition, Orla. Please sing, all who desire to. It's not about being good. One of my favorite singers, Paramahansa Yogananda. If you listen to him sing, it's not in key. If there was an objective measure for what makes a good singer good, Paramahansa Yogananda would probably not succeed at that measure. But he was very successful as a guru, as someone who dispelled spiritual wisdom. And he would sing all the time, and not because he was good or because he thought he was good, but because he wasn't singing to appease your ear, but the ear of the divine. That he sung with such a force and reverence that it was still just as infectious. He was practically yelling at a rhythm. But that's all that is required. Even then, you don't have to have the volume or rhythm, because it's the intention in our heart. And thank you, dear Jeremy, for the flowers you sent too. Hari Om Tat Sat. How do I spell that name? That's a good one. I'll spell it in chat for you. Paramahansa Yogananda. His name means Supreme Swan, Bliss of Yoga. Or yoga's bliss. It says I have to please log in first. I think I'm logged in first, TikTok. Let me try that one more time. Paramahansa. Paramahansa. Yogananda. Yogananda. TikTok doesn't think I'm logged in. Well, I don't know what account I'm streaming from then. Oh wow, there's another way I can do this for you. Here. Paramahansa Yogananda. Now you can see it above my head. I would take a screenshot of it. That would be the easiest for you. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Mike, for your hat and mustache, for your quintet of applauses, your 25 fires, and your quintet of popcorns, and a pair of sunglasses. Jai Sita Ram. And thank you for having a funny name that makes me laugh on the inside. Now, Sven Serious, you share that. You know, people ask this all the time, but how do you deal with anxiety? You can't get out of survival mode. Well, you're welcome to ask a question that's been You're always welcome to ask a question that's been asked before, because you know, the answer I may give to one person might not resonate in the same way it does for you, and I'll always be happy to take into consideration the ways in which you would like to approach an inquiry. Survival mode is a great descriptor for anxiety. That sounds like your sympathetic nervous system is very active. You're in the fight or flight response. The common theme between flight or fight is that it's an actum. An actum? That's not a word. It's an action. It's an activity. Fight or flight requires you to take action, to be involved in this moment. And I think that's important. You don't have to fight or flight, but if you engage your body, if you engage yourself in some activity, that can be very helpful. Even if it's something small like, I don't know, untying your shoelaces and then tying them back together. Even if it's going up to a friend and having a conversation with them. Whatever is within your capacity. Of course, if you're hyperventilating or feeling nauseous, it might not be possible for you to do any of those things. When you're feeling really deep in a panic, then focusing on something much more simpler is important, like your breath. Bringing yourself back to your breath. Our breath has a lot to do with our nervous system, and rapid, shallow breaths are correlated with our sympathetic nervous system that produce the fight or flight response. And deep, consistent, smooth, cyclical breathing that's also associated with our nervous system, but our parasympathetic nervous system that invokes the rest and digest response. Making your body feel like it's relaxed can be a great step towards relaxing, because our body sometimes doesn't know that it's not in danger. For some reason, something has triggered it, perhaps from the inside, and we have to do the adjustments required to remind the body that this is a place where you're allowed to be vulnerable. And thank you, G to Infinity, for spelling Paramahansa Yogananda for Jessica. A huge part of anxiety is the allowance. Just allowing yourself to feel how you're feeling. Be in this body, have this mind, have these emotions. It's so natural to be overwhelmed when this universe is overwhelming. By all accounts, by all means. My goodness, they didn't miss a single spot. There's something happening at all levels, at all of the time, isn't it? It's natural to feel overwhelmed in this way. I have a video on my ASMR channel that I feel may be useful for you. It's a holistic video that affirms different levels of your being, working its way from the outside in. I start in that video with affirming the nature of the world, that it is a pretty crazy place to live in, bringing it closer to your house and your room and how you are in your environment. Take yourself where you need to go, then to the body, attend to its needs, inwards to the senses, you're allowed to be feeling this way or seeing or hearing whatever sensations might be occurring to you. To the level of the mind, we validate what's going on at the thought. To the intellect, we validate the decisions you've been making. It's okay. And even our sense of self, or ahankara, our ego, we affirm. Finally, after that, you're in pure consciousness. Take you on a journey from the world to the self. I think that can be very affirming as we validate each step along the way. And it's a 30-minute video or so on the ASMR YouTube channel. And I draw from my own experience of having gone through so many anxiety attacks myself. Thank you, Josan, for spelling the name of the YouTube channel for Julia. Yamsox ASMR. Hello, Hexakin. You share that you are overwhelmed again, also in the process of trying to help a homeless person. Well, I think that's wonderful that you're a source of help for someone who has been displaced. That also sounds like it can be overwhelming. I hope to remind you, to remind yourself really, that your best effort is enough. And even if things don't turn out the way you envision, that doesn't mean your vision wasn't true or unachievable. It just takes time, and there are going to be offsets on the way there. Lauren, you're wondering if I like enchiladas. I have to be honest with you. I forget what an enchilada is. I'm sorry. Thank you, Mike, for the TikTok and the rose and the ice cream cone, the music play, the TikTok, the pair of gimme the votes, another pair of cloud breads, a TikTok, a pair of roses and a pair of ice cream cones, a TikTok, a cloud bread, and a trio of gimme the votes, and another one making that 4, and a trio of cloud breads, a TikTok, and a rose. There, I think I got them all. No thanks necessary. Well, you're too kind, but allow me the ability to extend my gratitude. Makes me happy to be able to thank you. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Spencerius, thank you for your trio of tiny tinies. Yahoo! Lauren, you share it's meat inside a tortilla baked in the red sauce and covered in cheese. In the red sauce, also known as salsa? That sounds very delicious. I haven't eaten meat for quite some time, but I'm sure that I would have loved it. It's red enchilada sauce. So it literally is the red sauce. Well, forgive me for assuming that it was more specific than that. Thank you, dear Hybrid Jen, for your disco love. Hare Rama. They can also be made with cheese, I imagine, and that sounds very yummy. Sounds a little bit like a tortilla, just with some other stuff in there. And thank you, Brandon, for your rose and your heart meat, your hand hearts actually. Let me give you some too. Om Namah Shakti Shavaya. And Jessica, thank you for your flower, your dancing flower. Om Bharam Bhairvaya Namo Namaha. I'm happy that I mellow you, Brad. All the mellowness is your natural state, part of you. Chris Morton, you're wondering if I could go for the job interview to be the president of America. Well, I don't know if they just give out job interviews like that. That'd be pretty funny though. I suppose anyone could run, but unfortunately I don't qualify. I can't remember the age requirement, but anyway, I'm not American, so I wouldn't be able to run. think I would have to get American citizenship for that, probably. I am in Canada, where I have been born. Now, nonetheless, I appreciate that, and thank you, Mike. I appreciate that you find perhaps leadership qualities in me. But the truth is that I believe that deep, spiritually invigorating change happens not from at the top of a nation all the way down to its subcomponents, but from the inside of any one of us. And then it works our way up to our family, to our community, to our city, maybe to our state, and to our country, and then to the world. The nature of policy is such that it starts from the top and works its way down. But for deep healing and love to make a difference in the world, I think it starts on a small level. It starts from within our own heart and then grows from there to a community and beyond. You all hear a kitty? I think there might have been a kitty behind my door. Let me check.
Was there a meow meow? Was someone meowing behind you?
Who's that? Huh? I know you don't like being picked up, so thank you for letting me do this. Alright. You can be free, Sandy. Your brother's here also.
Love you. Yes, love you. Bye-bye. Much love to you.
I love all the love that you have for Sandy. Shadow is in my room, but he's under my bed. He climbed under there. He's understimulating. Alright, take care, Mike. Starlight, wow. You ask, how to relax into deep uncertainty? Oh, that's beautiful. What does uncertainty mean? When you describe it in terms of the negative, in terms of what it's not, well, it's not certainty. Well, we have to know what we're relaxing into, not just what we're not relaxing into. Uncertainty is one of the things that we describe possibility with. Wherever there is a possibility, the fact that it's possible makes it something that could or could not happen. So there is uncertainty there. So we relax into a deep feeling of positivity, possibility. But positivity is the positive way of saying uncertainty. Thank you, Starlight Wow, for your tiny as well too. Yippee! And thank you, Hybrid Jen, for your trio of roses. Have I given a ding ding today? I don't know if I have. Rhiannon, you shared that you feel like you're in limbo right now. You are wandering through different states, and perhaps you are in the interspace between forms, going from one beingness to another, one form of expression to another. It makes sense that in between two beautiful chapters of your life. That's right, Shadow. What he said. What he said was, it's totally normal to feel like that in the transition period. Dear Shadow, you have to show your face.
I love you. You big baby. He's a big baby. Can you say hi to the people of the internet? No, okay. I respect your decision too. Hey, you can go explore the shadow realm. Or in fact, I can take you out of the room. That works too. You go, my friend.
He is a great meower. I agree. Cats are a lesson in consent. If they don't want to do something, can't force them. Oh, thank you, dear Shay. Much love to you, and thank you for your pair of roses. And your quintet of them. Hari Om Tat Sat. Nick, you are wondering what the difference between karma in Buddhism and karma in Hinduism is. I remember you asking this the other day, and we talked about how really there isn't much difference, because that's one of the things that Hinduism and Buddhism agree the most on. The Dalai Lama says that that Buddhism and Hinduism, they are very similar in a few different ways. That's in karma, in reincarnation, and dharma, and the importance of meditation. I think I remember the Dalai Lama saying that. So there's really more things we could point out that's similar between Buddhism and Hinduism on the nature of karma. But I think there are differences. For instance, one of the biggest differences in general between Buddhism and Hinduism is the fact that Buddhism rejects the existence of a permanent, unchanging self. That if you go and search for this so-called Atma, this witness in Hinduism, you'll never find it. Therefore, why do we even speak about it as having an existence? Whereas the Hindus say that, well, you can't find the thing that you are looking from. You are going and search for the very thing that is doing the searching. So that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It means you just cannot find it. The Buddhists say, at that point, we're just playing word games. There is no self. There is just a witnessing happening. No need to identify with it. And as it relates to karma, I'm sure this has implications. For example, who is doing the karma then in Buddhism? Who is the karma attributed to? If there is no self in Buddhism, then the karma isn't attached to you in this way. So one way of transcending the karma in Buddhism is with the understanding that all actions are not done from you. They are carried out by nature. But there still is a responsibility and accountability to the actions that appear. How exactly the personal self comes in to be the one accountable and yet not exist at the same time, I don't understand it myself. Such is why I normally speak from the platform of Atma rather than Anatma, is that it is useful to use a sense of self in this context, because then the karmas is attached to something, somebody, and we become directly responsible for it, and thus it is absolutely our responsibility. But I'm probably doing this injustice because I've spent a lot more time with the Hindu version of karma rather than the Buddhist version of karma. And thank you, Shay, for your quintet of tiny dinies. Yippee! So in conclusion, they are more similar than they are different, but I imagine the difference lies in the self that is attached to the karma, the action, since the Buddhists take the principle of anatma and the Hindus take the principle of atma. A bored student, you're wondering, for all of us, if we're watching the meteor shower tonight, truly beautiful alongside the aurora. I'll have to check if it's available where I live, but definitely an experience which expands our horizons. Rianan, you're wondering, are there 3 kinds of karma? Yes, there are. Of course, you can categorize karma in any amount of numbers you want, but it's useful to think of karma in terms of 3 ways. There's the karma that we have stored since endless lifetimes. The karma of all past lives. That's called the Sanchit karma. It's our karmic bank account. It's the place in which eventually all activities, all circumstances that appear to us are decided upon. The percentage of which, the portion of which, that is occurring in this present life, that is already becoming fruitful, the fruits of which are already occurring, that's called the Paravidya karma. That includes your body, that includes your parents, that includes where you were born, your gender. That wasn't decided in this lifetime. It was decided based on our actions of all possible past lifetimes. And not all of it is being expressed in this one lifetime, because there's an infinite amount of it. But the most dominant impression in that karmic bank account, in that Sanchita karma, is the Paravidya karma that is currently finding expression. Those are the 2 kinds of karma referring to the past and present. And then there's the karma that we have to do. There's all the actions that we continue to make now and in the future. That's our kriyamana karma. So it's the actions relating to the past, present, and future. And thank you, dear Vanessa, for your quartet of roses. I just realized we're well past the 2-hour mark. So we should wrap up this live stream soon. But thank you, Vanessa. Om Namah Shivaya. Hexa, can you share that? People think if you do something wrong, you get punished. Speaking for most in here, we don't get it. Shares Hexagon. Yes, that's not the nature of karma. That's the way which we colloquially use the word in casual conversation. Like when we feel like we're being punished, we say, "Oh, it's my karma." But the scientific and technical understanding of this ancient word is much more nuanced and doesn't involve punishment or reward, but those are themes relating to the nature of karma. I think the best way to explain karma is really to forget everything you know, because although it's intimately tied with the original definition, it's just so messy that it would take forever to untangle it. It's best to just set that aside and open one's mind to just the definition as it is. The definition of karma in Sanskrit is action. Just a word that means action. When you are engaging in anything, you're engaging in an action. To do anything means to be engaged in an action. So you're engaging in karma. But we have to be careful to drop all the baggage that we've associated with this word until now. Oh, that means we're always gaining karma and we'll never run out. We're always engaged in actions. Yes. And our actions do shape our future. And our actions can lead to favorable results or unfavorable results. But sometimes that's independent of our action. Sometimes we do our best, but we still fail the test. Sometimes we do poor and we pass the test. So the outcome is independent from the action. So when we feel a certain way due to some result that's happened, and we say that's karma, we are using the word incorrectly. Because the karma was the action, but the outcome's independent from the action. However, the nature of the outcome is relating to this concept, and it has to do with our attachment. It's not the outcome that determines our happiness. It's not even the action that determines our happiness. It is why we do the action. And then, depending on why, when the outcome happens, we are either content or discontent. And that's the fruit of the karma. Whether it bears fruit, whether it bears a sweetness or not. So, to put it into example, if a student studies for their exam and the next day they fail, and then they feel terrible about it. So there's three things happening. They studied, they failed, and they feel terrible. Which of these is the karma? I'm asking you. This is now a test. To be entirely accurate, the studying was the karma, because that was the action. What was the fruit, the phalam of the karma? It's how they feel about it. The outcome is independent. Now there's a fourth thing that I haven't mentioned, and it's why they were studying. Why they were studying affects how they feel when the outcome happens. If they studied just to get a good grade, then they've set themselves up to suffer, and that's how their action had a consequence later. They did their best studying, but they assumed that the purpose of studying was to get a good grade. And when they got a bad grade, it wasn't because they did anything wrong in their karma, in their action, but because that was why they were doing the action. So they were bound to their karma. They were bound to their action because they've set themselves up in such a way that their actions could lead to unintended consequences, and that consequence may have an effect on their happiness. So to be truly free of the bondage of karma, to not be bound by the results of your actions, the reason why you do anything is so important. The reason is not to get a good grade, but because that's what it means to express yourself fully as a student. You cannot be a student without studying. That is why the root word is the same in both study and student. It doesn't matter if you get a good grade or a bad grade, because that's not the purpose of studying. If the student remembers that while they're studying, then it doesn't matter whether they get a good a good result or a bad result, whether they get a good grade or a bad grade, because they've already made peace with the outcome, and therefore they're no longer bound by their karma, by their action. User 308, you ask, what's wrong with doing something expecting good? Expectations are natural. Of course, a student will naturally expect themselves to get a favorable grade, because how much they study does influence the grade, but there are other factors that they cannot control, like how the teacher is feeling in that moment, whether they're on the teacher's good side, or whether they are studying something which directly represents what they're being tested upon. All of these things are outside of a student's capacity to control, and because they also influence the grade, then we can only have expectations to the extent that we can control. So it's natural to have expectations for a grade that's favorable based upon our effort of studying. But if we don't make peace with the fact that we could get a bad grade regardless, then there's a possibility that we've become bound by this action because we've invested an intention into this action. And when it doesn't bear fruit, when it doesn't blossom in such a way that we had intended, then we suffer. So the entire process of karma happened from within. That we do an action with a reason why, and if that reason why depends on the outcome, then we've invested a sense of self that could potentially backfire when the outcome finally happens. So we're allowed to have expectations. No one can be free of expectations. A doctor is going to expect that this surgery is going to help, otherwise they wouldn't do it. But if they are attached to a specific outcome, then they've invested something which they cannot get back. We're gambling with our own happiness, with our own sense of self. In that sense, it's important to be free of our attachments to the outcome. What really means is to have made peace with whatever outcome. And then you can technically be said to be free of the bondage of karma. Because now the outcomes of your actions shouldn't have an effect on your happiness, because the outcomes were not the reason why you did the action anyway. It's a very simple philosophy, but very hard to implement in practice. Now, with the example, Cecilia, you asked, if your parents yell at you about your grade, how shall you act? That's a great question. And Kate, I'll read this one too because it's relevant. Getting good grades result in work and getting paid. It's survival. It's kind of important. Absolutely. And all of you raise great points. And in the process of karma yoga, the form of yoga which I'm speaking from, I'm not making this up off the top of my head. This is an ancient practice that you can learn about in many ancient scriptures. It is advised never to be unmindful. Is that a word? We should always be mindful of the possible results. But we have to ask ourselves, have we made peace with the possible outcomes? Like, for example, whenever we are doing something, is there going to be a reward or a punishment associated with some of the outcomes? And we ask ourselves, would we still do it anyway, even if we don't get the reward or we do get the punishment? For example, it's possible that my parent may yell at me for getting a bad grade. Even if I do get a bad grade, should I still study? Making peace with that, saying, yes, I will continue to study even if an unfortunate outcome happens. That is what it means to be free of the bondage of karma. Some people shorten that sentence and they say, being free of karma. But literally speaking, that would mean being free of doing anything. But you still do stuff. But what we really mean, since karma means action, is to be free from the bondage that we set ourselves up for in it. Now, naturally, I would hope that we have parents such that they understand the principle of karma too, and that they know that the outcome is not fully in your control. And if you get a bad grade, then that's not your fault. Who knows what circumstances in life your teacher or other classmates or you may have been going through, which were out of their capacity and out of your capacity. As parents, the last thing we would truly want is for our children's actions to be dependent upon whether we punish them or reward them or not. Because then they grow up with such a complex that they are just trying to find a path in which they're avoiding pain and perhaps reaping pleasure. And this is the nature of society that we tend to live in. That in our materialistic culture, we are striving for, in all of our actions, or in most of them, some pleasurable reward, or at the very least, avoiding some painful punishment. This is the state that we exist in. But there's another way. And the way to peace, the way that all of the traditions in the world from people who have questioned this way of living have come to the conclusion with, is the practice of karma yoga, said in other ways, but in Sanskrit, it's yoga, it's union through action, karma. And that means to shift our perspective from living for the sake of some outcome to living for the sake of this action being an expression of yourself. That we work not for the attainment of anything else, but because it's what it means to be alive. To help, to love, to serve, to heal, to grow, to learn. We aren't doing these things to get anything at the end of our life, because we know we have to give that all up when we relinquish this body. Instead, all we really have in life is each moment. So to be happy in each moment, we can't be waiting for something else to happen. We have to find some reason to enjoy each little action, even if it's washing the dishes, mowing the lawn, or helping someone with something difficult. We find purpose in the action itself, rather than what we can attain. And this is the principle known as karma yoga. It's a very different kind of yoga. One that exercises our intentions rather than our muscles. One that stretches not our tendons but our perception. Deb, I don't think I thanked you yet for the heart me you sent a few minutes ago. So thank you. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Peter, thank you for your rose. Jai Sitaram. And thank you, dear Hybrid Jen, for another rose from you. Or a heart me rather. You share that you're thinking about the grass you have to cut right after this live ends. Consider it a meditation. There's something satisfying about the patterns that it makes in the lawn and the vibration of the engine. There's a way to find presence in anything. Oh, I love that, Jessica. If you haven't heard it, please check out the Maha Mantra by Marty, Nico, and DJ Dre's. Makes chores fun. I love that. Yeah. G to Infinity, you want me to screenshot this? That my children will be lucky to have me as their father. Well, thank you. I may screenshot it with my mind that if I ever plan on having children one day, I hope to be the best father that I can. In other ways, I feel as though I've had many, many, many children throughout endless lifetimes, and this energy that's inside a human being that can be used to create life without. What are the other ways in which we can use this energy? I wouldn't be so distraught if I sacrifice just one lifetime to explore another possibility for what we can do with this energy that's able to create life. I think there are many ways of putting life into this world, and not all of them have been explored before. That incites me, that interests me, entices me, I think I was going for. Thank you, Diana, for your heart me and team bracelet too. And Pivotal Intent, thank you for your rose. Dum Durgai Namaha. Badarmo, thank you for your hanging lights. Jai Sitaram. And Hybrid Jen, thank you for your quintet of disco loves. Namah Shivaya. G to Infinity, you share. You don't have to put life into this world to be a father. Oh, I see where you're going with that. Thank you. I was taking it the other way. You don't have to be a father to put life in this world. There are other ways. But I love the way you took that too. And Giuliano, thank you for your rose, your ice cream cone, your cloud bread, your TikTok, your pair of GGs, and a heart me. Om Brahm Bhairavaya Namo Namaha. I love that pivotal intent. Progress is not real. Process is the truth. Progress achieves. Last achievement is losing it all. That reads like a poem. Thank you for that. Dalen, you're wondering if I want to grow a beard or mustache. I actually would like a beard one day, but I'm afraid I'd have to distance myself from you all in order to go through the awkward phase. And then I show up again with a beard. I just know for how many months it takes to grow out one, it'd be way too awkward to do this sangha. I'd have to find a way to leave and come back. But I'm so young, you know, I might as well appreciate my youthful expression. Now, Fox, you were wondering if I use any mantras when I do my meditation. I think mantras are something that we can fill our whole day with, and as such, I feel like I'm meditating always. In each breath I take, I try to do my mantra. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. find that what has been stereotyped as a meditation, where we sit down and cross our legs and put our hands on our lap, close our eyes and breathe. You can enter this state wherever you are. No need to sit down, close your eyes. You can do this while you are walking from your room to your kitchen. You can do this as you look at the people in your life that you love. You can enter that state of meditation in everything that you do. Yes, I would like to land the plane. It's been a while now. So allow me to ask you my question of the day before we go. Today I'm wondering, in what ways are we like a baby? We might not be a baby in our size, although some of you are pretty small. We might not be a baby in our need to latch on to our mothers, at least physically. I know I still do in other ways though. But what ways are we like a baby? Or let you share in our need for love. I love that. In our helplessness. I like that too, Zach. Kristen, you share, we're always learning. I love that as well. Crossfires, you share, by being stubborn, you suppose, wanting love always and tension. Yes, I agree. Suz, namaste, you share our curiosity. I love that. In our crying, shares Hybrid Jen. That's beautiful. Yes, I think we're circling the airport one more time, John F. That's a great way to put it. Excuse me, passengers, this is your captain speaking. Appears the landing strip is a little occupied, so we're just going to take another trip around the airport. Thanks for flying with us today. Bobby Sue, you share our need for companionship and care and love. I love that answer. And I love that as well. Pivotal intent. Age is just a thought. When does one change from child to adult? Fountain of youth is us. It's beautiful. Ben, you share that you are battling stress. Well, of course you're going to feel stressed if you feel like you have to battle with all your emotions. Invite them in for tea. Be curious about them and appreciate the possibilities and compromises that are always possible. No need to be so worried about what the future might say about you today, because today you get to decide what you want to say about the future. And in each moment this is true, as we can check in with ourselves. How do you want to be in this moment? It is in this moment that you feel the full force of your life. Why worry about how it might be tomorrow when there are factors that are outside our control? Just this moment, you exist. And in this moment, I can't imagine there are any responsibilities other than your own forgiveness for all this time you spent fighting with your emotions. Let this be the first day in the rest of your life that you seek not to go to war with any part of yourself, but instead make amends, find compromise. Dalen, you would like for me to wait till I'm 30 or something for the beard? I think I can do that. Back to the question of the day. You share in our innocence, Jessica. And Lola, you share, we all have the same basic emotions. I like that. Just like the movie Inside Out. We just add to them over time. Orla, you need my overdubs on all future flight announcements. The baby is always there. No? I love that, Soz. Jay, you were wondering about the Gateway Process Guided Meditation. I've heard of this. I think it's a personal project by the person who made it. I know that it's from the CIA, but the CIA is made up of a bunch of individuals with interests and their own budgets to pursue different things. Sounds like someone in the CIA had a bit of a spiritual awakening, and so they made a little paper on their discoveries, their personal discoveries. You have all that within you. The CIA is generally not the best source for spiritual guided meditations. For that, I would turn to ancient scriptures and lineages that have communities that might not be so intimately linked with governmental policies and surveillance. You know? So there are wonderful places where you can find guided meditations. A research paper by someone in the CIA is probably not my first recommendation, but hey, if it helps you maintain a sense of peacefulness and serenity, then how can we speak negatively of it? Dalen, you share that you cry all the time. In that way you are a baby. And I think that's beautiful, actually. Alfie, you share that our purity is what brings us back to that pure subconscious state. I love that too. And Alfie, you laugh at most things. You are a baby. Me too. Magdalene, you shared the way we are able to see life again for the first time through the eyes of Divine Source. I think you've put it so beautifully. Thank you for that. And so you share, we all have that inner baby inside each of us, our sense of wonder. I like that. And Miss, you shared that we should always be curious and live in the moment. That way, we would be like babies. I love that. All right. Thank you, everyone. I think we are all like babies in the way that we can answer this question. Because in order to answer this question, we have to allow ourselves to be vulnerable. And I think that's the nature of being a baby, is that we feel allowed to be vulnerable. That's our very nature. We are a source of vulnerability. In fact, we inspire that kind of preciousness in others too. So before we leave tonight, with that wonderful discussion inspired by the question of the day, thank you, I would like to read another section from The Hidden Power in Humans. Let's talk more about the Svadhisthana chakra. This is the sacral chakra. The Svadhisthana chakra is our daily training ground and a lifelong challenge. But with wisdom, help from the divine, and the guidance of a spiritual master, we are able to overcome all the difficulties that this chakra has in store for us. I pray for your success, and may all your thoughts and feelings change for the better. From the author, Paramahansa Swami Maheshwarananda. That's where we left off. Now, here are some practical exercises for the Svadhisthana chakra. According to the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, which is a source of descriptions for the classical Hatha Yoga exercises, yoga for the body. This is the tradition transmitted by Lord Shiva himself many millennia ago. There are 2 mudras that are specifically assigned to the Svadhisthana chakra. As we get to the section that discusses exercises, there's a lot of just information that might not translate well into a physical practice. So you might have to listen back on this or search up any terms that are relevant here. But I'll just cover them for posterity. The Vajroli mudra and Amroli mudra, where we tense the lower abdominal muscles. These are the 2 mudras given by Lord Shiva for the Svadhisthana chakra. And the following asanas, seats, have a harmonizing effect on the Svadhisthana chakra. The precise descriptions and instructions for these exercises are contained in the book called Yoga in Daily Life, the system. The first is Bhujangasana, which is the cobra. And there are pictures for this. I'll show you. That's the one where the person is looking like a cobra at the top, with their legs flat on the ground, looking up. When the cobra is disturbed, it raises its head. When it quietens again, it lowers its head to the ground. Through Bhujangasana, emotions, particularly anger, can be controlled and quietened. A stronger effect can be obtained when the hands are clasped behind the back with the elbows straight. The body is raised, and without the help of the hands, one can concentrate on the Svadhisthana chakra. There is also the Shalabhasana, which is the locust, and it's the second position. Person in blue, with their face on the ground and their feet up in the air. The Dhanurasana, which is a bow, the third position, which is also in the blue below that one, where they reach back and grab their hands with their feet. Mrigasana, the deer, which is number 4, which is the person kind of looking at the camera in yellow here. Skandharasana, the shoulder pose, number 5. Person leaning back with their shoulders on the ground. Where is it? There. Knees in the air, hands holding their ankles like that. The Yoga Mudra, forward bend sitting on heels, number 6. Person in light blue with their face on the ground, looking like they've had a real bad day. I know I do this sometimes when I've had a bad day. There's the Chakrasana, the wheel, number 7, where you arch yourself back in the shape of a semicircle in yellow there. And the last one with an image it looks like is the Setu Asana, the bridge. Above that, number 8, where the person straightens their legs and torso to be in alignment. These are all exercises for the Svadhisthana chakra. And 2 without illustrations, but you can hear the name of, is the Surya Namaskara, sun salutations, and the Katu Pranam, the greetings to Katu. The Svadhisthana chakra can be activated by certain concentration and meditation practices. But when we stir a dormant chakra, we also awaken its qualities. To keep this stage of development under control, these exercises are performed after appropriate mental preparation and under the instruction of an experienced yoga teacher. And with that, we come to the end of our inquiry into the Svadhisthana, the sacral chakra. Next time, we'll go into the Manipura chakra, which is the solar plexus chakra. Thank you for listening. And with that, we will wrap up our live stream today. But not before I extend my gratitude for all of you in being here. Thank you. We've got lots of yoga lovers here. And I assume some yoga teachers too. Hello to you. You were always so kind in thanking me for reading to you, Dansuela and Ragnhildur. You're all very kind. I'm only grateful to be able to have this space in which I'm able to share some experiences with you, and experiences from great teachers like Vishwa Guruji, sent to me by Ushabai. I go live around the afternoon/evening of the Pacific Standard Time. So whatever time it is for you, if you dial back 3 hours, that's when I started today. I imagine I'll probably start around the same time tomorrow. 3 hours ago tomorrow. It's funny how that makes sense. Thank you for your visit, Alfie. And hello, Kiki. Yes, we are wrapping things up for tonight, but nice to see you. And any way in which I was unable to attend to you today, any of you, I will meditate upon. I will reflect upon, and I hope to be back with a greater capacity to be able to serve you. And my messages are always open on other platforms, all in the link tree in my bio, where you'll also find a link to my YouTube channel, Yamsox Lives, where I upload this whole recording in case there's any part of it that you feel like you could benefit from hearing. Like if Kiki, you wanted to listen to what happened before you got here, that's there for you. If not, no pressure, of course, but it's there for you, along with the readings. And when we do meditations, they're also in designated playlists there also. So check in with yourself, breathe. If you need to go to the bathroom, get a snack or drink water. Be mindful of your body's needs. May this live stream be an offering to the divinity within you. Thank you, Kiki, for your quartet of roses. Hari Om Tat Sat. And with that, I bid you adieu, which I think is a beautiful word. Adieu to God, to the divine. I leave you in the hands of the divine. We'll take better care of you than I can anyway. So with that, farewell. May you all have a wonderful rest of your present moment. I did want to end with a mantra, and that's the Gayatri mantra. Om Bhur Bhuvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. Om, from the earth, Bhu, to the space above, Bhuva, and the realm beyond, Svaha. Tatsavitur, that sun-like radiance, Varenyam, we meditate upon. Varenyam means worthy of worship. Bhargo, dissolver of darkness, ignorance. Devasya, feminine divine, Dhimahi, we meditate upon. Dhiyo Yonaf, intellect of ours, Prachodayat, may you enlighten. Om Bhur Bhuvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. Namaste.